Welcome to the Global Roundtable, organized by the Global Foundation for Democracy and Development and South-South News. Today we have the pleasure of the company of Dr. Abdul Momen, representative of Bangladesh to the United Nations, Vice President of ECOSOC, Chairman of the Second Committee, and former President of UNICEF. Welcome, Mr. Ambassador, and thank you so much for being with us here today.
Thank you for inviting me.
Before we start our conversation with Mr. Ambassador, we would like to present the country of Bangladesh to our audiences. The People's Republic of Bangladesh is located in South Asia. It's surrounded by India and has a small border with Myanmar or Burma. The area is 147,570 square kilometers. The population is of 160 million. It's the 8th most populous country in the world, and it's the most densely populated country in the world at the same time. It is a very young population. 60% of the population is under the age of 25. The capital is Dhaka, with 14 million inhabitants. It is a parliamentary democracy. The president is Zilur Rahman, and Prime Minister is Sheikh Hasina. It lies in the Ganges River Delta, one of the most fertile plains in the world. Nevertheless, every year from June to October, heavy monsoons bring extreme rainfall and create great flooding. Cyclones and tornadoes are additional environmental challenges. The country, once known as East Pakistan, was established as the People's Republic of Bangladesh in 1971, after the Bangladesh Liberation War against Pakistan and with the support of India. It is a young country that has gone through difficult periods of natural disasters, famine, political turmoil, and military coups, but has enjoyed a calmer political atmosphere and a remarkable progress in economy since the restoration of democracy in 1991. It has received great acclaim for its great progress in human development from the United Nations. It is listed as one of the next 11 economies and as global growth generator country. Its economic engine used to be jute, but now it is one of the world's major producers of rice, potato, mango, tropical fruit, and tea. 2/3 of the population are farmers, but most countries' earnings actually come from garment industry and remittances. It is the 4th largest clothing exporter in the world. Average annual growth has been 5% since 1990. And we should, of course, mention the famous Microcredit project by Mohammed Yunus and his Grameen Bank. Bangladesh has been extremely proactive in the international arena. It is a founding member of the South Asian Association for Regional Cooperation, of the D8. It is a member of Commonwealth of Nations. It is a member of the Organization of Islamic Cooperation, and it is a member of the Non-Aligned Movement. It has served 2 terms on the Security Council in spite of being a very young country, and it is the largest troop contributor to the UN peacekeeping forces. Mr. Ambassador, our first question will be directed precisely to the area of international affairs in Bangladesh. Bangladesh has an impressive record of being so proactive and participating in international initiatives, of which some we have mentioned. As a representative to the UN and somebody who implements this policy on a daily basis, could you tell us what is the origin of such an extremely dynamic policy? What is its scope? What is its reach? What are the results? And what does it feel like to implement it every day?
Thank you for the question, and thank you for inviting. This is a good question because Bangladesh, you see, is very much involved with all the international, by and large, agencies. Currently, we are elected member of almost 35 UN agencies or organizations. The basis for all those, Bangladesh is the founder of the country, Sheikh Mujibur Rahman, who founded it in 1971. He had a belief, and his policy was friendship to all, malice to none. And till today, we follow this. We have no enemy on the planet Earth. We have gone through, over the years, a lot of difficulties, as you mentioned. Once it was termed by many important people as a bottomless basket. in the early 70s. But we have gone through our own, and we have survived. Currently, we're doing pretty well. As you mentioned, our GDP growth is over 6% last few years, and it's hopefully will be more than that, around 7 or 8. Now, we got involved because we have no enemy. This is one good thing. The other, you see, necessity is the mother of invention. So, since we don't have that much mineral resources or other resources other than human beings and water, these human resources, at the same time, water, at times they become difficulties unless they're correctly managed. So what the government decided, that we have to get involved with the international forums so that we develop ourselves. At the same time, we share our expertise with others. You mentioned about the peacekeeping. You see, we have gone through this situation in 1971. Almost 3 million people, died, 200,000 women were dishonored, and around 10 million, including me, became a refugee in our own, in 1971. So what we have learned, then we came back, we reconstruct the country on our own, and we want to share those expertise with others. That's why we are in the peacekeeping. That's why we are also in peace building. See, we have developed many non-government organizations who are trying to develop, human resources. And we come up with, you mentioned about this microfinancing program. There are many organizations other than Grameen who have been promoting it. The objective is, the major resource is our human resource, and we have to make them qualified, skilled, If we can do it, it will help us. Currently, of course, we are also trying to digitize the Bangladesh. We try to teach all those people the modern technology so that it can help improve all the goals. Now, going back again, since we have no enemy, you see, it is much easier for us to get associated with many international organizations. And it is a two-way relationship. International organizations are helping us, we are helping them. Right. You mentioned about the SAARC, South Asia Association of Regional Cooperation. We developed it. The progress has not been that great in that forum, but so far things are working in the right direction. It needs to be little bit. Currently, the government of Sheikh Hasina, you see, our father of the nation, the founder, was killed by some, disgruntled young army officers. But his daughter now is the Prime Minister. She wants to have more connectivity, because we believe, connectivity is productivity. If we can connect with others, then we can be more productive. So what we are doing currently, we have opened our country to other neighboring countries like Nepal, Bhutan, India, and Myanmar. And we want to, through connectivity, we want to improve ourselves. At the same time, we want to share, growth with other countries. And these are our policy. These are not policy based on, we have a theoretical concept that we all in the planet Earth has to prosper. One specific country, if improves, is not necessarily will, result in improvement of others. Unless we all improve, you see, we will have, problems of, terrorism, problems of one or another. So Bangladesh is trying in these forums so that, we all can be improved.
Mr. Ambassador, as we have heard, Bangladesh has been extremely proactive in the international arena. The record of Bangladesh in international organizations, in regional institutions, is really impressive. As a person who implements this very proactive and dynamic foreign policy on a daily basis, could you tell us a little bit more? What is the origin of such a dynamic foreign policy? What is its scope? What is its reach? What are the consequences and results? And what does it feel like to implement it every day?
Thank you very much for your question. The basic reason that we are involved in those international organizations is the fundamental principles that was preached by the founder of the country, and that was friendship to all, malice to none. And then in our constitution, it is mandated that whenever UN organization asks us to help improve peace anywhere on the planet Earth, then Bangladesh, by obligation, they can send peacekeepers. Now we are also, because we are friendship to all, malice to none. On that principle we work. As a result, we have been involved with many organizations, and we are trying to share our experience. You know, the Bangladesh has come through a very hard life. In 1971, 3 million of people got killed. 200,000 were dishonored, women were dishonored, and many people, 10 million, had to take shelter in the neighboring, country.
And yourself,
and myself also.
Bangladesh.
Yes. So here, what happened? And then afterwards, we have difficulties. There have been many big politicians and economists who term Bangladesh as a bottomless basket. But we on our own, over the years, worked hard and we survived. We are doing very well. Currently, our GDP growth rate is over 6%, and hope it will be over 7 soon.
It's remarkable.
Given so many constraints, we don't have much natural resources, but we have other calamities and difficulties and constraints. In spite of that, because of the dynamism of the people and good leadership and targeted program we are doing. Now, we are involved with the international organizations all across. Reason is we want to share expertise and we want to get, ideas, things from them also, and they are very helpful in our growth model. The other thing we believe, our current Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina, she believes that connectivity is productivity. If we can connect with others, our neighboring countries, either through road or plane or through internet and others, she believes then our people, our country would improve further. At the same time, the whole region will grow. And if the whole region go, then there would be pushing system which should help improve the life of all the people of the country.
Thank you so much, Mr. Ambassador. That's really inspiring, and congratulations to you and your government for the wonderful work.
We have achieved pretty good success. In the UN, currently we are member of almost 35 UN agencies, organizations, either as a coordinator, facilitator, chair, vice chair, a lot. And because the government, rather tells us that you should get involved, so that there's a two-way connection.
And you're a relatively small country and a new country, so...
We are relatively small, but we have too many people. So we have resources.
Yes, a lot of human resources, that's right. Thank you so much. And we have another question in the area of international affairs. Asuncion San has prepared it for you.
Yes, Mr. Ambassador. We wanted to ask you about the relationship between India and Bangladesh. This relationship, we have seen that it has been sometimes very positive and reinforcing, and sometimes more challenging. Could you tell us how this relationship has progressed, mostly under the South Asian Association for Regional Cooperation?
Thank you. You see, our relationship with India is age-old. In 1971, when we had difficulties, India helped us a lot. They gave us shelter, food, and also assisted us, and we got liberated. And then immediately they left the country, they took out their troops and everything. But at times, because it's a neighbor, we do have some difficulties. But over the years, by and large, our relationship with India is good. Currently, our relationship is excellent. Only recently, Indian, the leader of the party, the ruling party, Sonia Gandhi, she visited Bangladesh on a special tourism, on a special conference. And we honored her also, honored her mother-in-law, Indira Gandhi, who was Prime Minister of India in 1971. Right. Now, our trade relationship is relatively good, and India is now currently is trying to make friendship to its neighbors. So the situation is pretty good. We are in between two big countries. One is India, another is China. So small country like us, if we can help each other, if India helps us and we also help them, we will grow. So this perception is, we have good relations with India. For example, we signed a water treaty agreement with India, and it is working 30-year water treaty, sharing of Ganges water. It worked out very well. Currently, we are trying to also resolve some of the water problems. So we are working in a very matured way with India. But as I said, the neighboring countries, sometimes these are, some people go to India and we have difficulties. And those are very common. But relationship, in this SAARC also, SAARC, Bangladesh took the lead in creating the South Asia Association Regional Cooperation. It did not progress much because, they are very divergent opinion. The members are like Pakistan, India, Nepal, Bhutan, Maldives, Bangladesh, and Sri Lanka. So we have now Afghanistan has joined. It did not prosper very well because there has been some difficulties with Pakistan and India. So we have created another one, or smaller regional ones, and that is where SAPTA is working much better.
Can you tell us exactly what it is?
Okay. It is trying, this is new one, it is between Bangladesh, India, Nepal, Bhutan, Myanmar in this little sub-region. And in this case, we are trying to increase our trade, our connections. We are trying to make it free mobility within the regions and also sharing resources. For example, India has more, we are energy starved. We don't have much energy power, which is the basic tool for industrial growth. So what we are doing is, India would provide us some energy, and we are trying to make an agreement with Nepal so that they have potential of hydroelectricity. So we can work together. Nepal or Bhutan don't have any sea access. So we will provide them the sea access. Even for some regions of India, if they have to go to send their products to those, it's very expensive. So now they can go through us. They can also use their port. Calcutta port is not very good. So they can use our port facilities. We are looking at a model like Singapore, which opened these ports, and in the process they developed. So we are working pretty good in this region.
That's excellent.
Thank you so much, Dr. Momen. And we also have another question in the area of the environment. We've already mentioned how Bangladesh is one of the most fertile valleys in the world, but with lots of environmental challenges. So Samira Ms. de Miranda has prepared a question for you.
Mr. Ambassador, talk about water. Water is so important, but sometimes can be a big problem too, right?
Yes.
Yeah, most of the land of Bangladesh lies on less than 12 meters above the sea level. So there are estimates that 10% of the land will be flooded if the sea level rise 1 meter. So we are aware of the impressive efforts that Bangladesh is making to mitigate and adapt to this potential climate change. So can you share with us some successful practices and initiatives?
Thank you. You see, climate change is one of our biggest challenges. Bangladesh has many challenges. One is climate change. You are right that you see this, if there is 1 meter rise in the sea level, around 40 to 50 million people will be displaced from their homes. If they're displaced from homes, they will lose their professions, their occupations. And already the process has started. With the rise of the sea level, global warming, people in the coastal belt are now moving to urban cities and creating slums. So this is a big problem for us. You see, think of so many people. We are the most vulnerable country in terms of, the climate change. We have erratic climatic change. Bangladesh had all those climatic monsoon and others, but of late they have become very erratic. And you see, the Bangladesh one of the major production is rice. We are the 4th largest rice producing country in the world, but many of our land will be taken under by the water. Salinity is becoming a problem. Look, we have a small land, but 160 million people, most, as she said, most densely populated country. In that case, if our land goes, we are in trouble. What the government is doing, government has taken a lot of initiatives for adaptation, mitigation, and all those programs. For example, people die. I give one example, 1970, when we had a big, cyclone, 500 million people died. But we created a very good disaster management program. As a result, in 2007, we had a big, similar ferocity cyclone. Only 138 people died. So we have reduced the death. How we did it?
Yeah, how
we have created shelters. Government has spent more than $10 billion of its own and created shelter, 14,000 cyclone shelters. And when there is high rise of water, they take shelter in those. Nowadays we are trying even to put our the animals in those shelters. But it costs. Not only that, we are trying to dredge our rivers, because dredging of rivers could, it can accommodate more water. So we are working, but we are resource constrained. We don't have money. You see, we did not create any global warming. We have the minimal contribution to global, but we are having the impact of it. Today we are having the impact. Tomorrow somebody else will. I normally explain this climate change issue like this. If you take a flight from Santiago, Domingo to, let's say, New York, there are first class passengers, business class passengers, there are economy class passengers. And if a fire breaks out in the economy class, and if you don't have resource or technology and you fail to put it off, what will happen? It will engulf the whole flight. Whether you are first class passenger, business, does not matter. So this issue is a global issue, and global community should come forward. Unfortunately, we're talking a lot, but resources are not coming that much. We are using our own resource. We have created funding, one for the domestic fund and two others for the international funding. Resource flow is very little, but we have our programs. We are doing afforestations, we are doing dredging, we are increasing the embankment so that the water level don't go inside. So, but those all needs money and also good technology. Like another one, we are trying to have some new technology so that when salinity comes, water level goes, our these crops for first 2 weeks they can sustain. You see, if they can sustain 2 weeks, then we can get the crops. So these are the new modern technology. We could be a high place for those technology, but unfortunately technology has been developed, but we don't have resource to implement the whole thing. We need global consciousness to end this big challenge that are coming to the global earth.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. Ambassador. And talking about the global consciousness, let us talk a little bit about your experience and your knowledge that you have acquired being Vice President of ECOSOC. Jamila Eusebio has a few questions for you in that sense.
As a member of ECOSOC Bureau and Vice President for Asia, how would you define the positive outcomes of the last ECOSOC high-level segment session that concludes just recently in Geneva?
We just finished it last month. I was in charge of the coordination segment, and in that case we found out that many of the internationally agreed programs and proposals or resolutions do not get implemented. One major reason is finance, shortage of fund. So in the last ECOSOC, in my segment, we organized 5 special events, 2 on financing of internationally agreed goals and commitments, and another one on financing Istanbul Program of Action for the LDCs. You see, how to arrange finance, because this is the greatest bottleneck. And there was good discussion, participation was good, but and we passed resolutions also. To get those resolutions implemented, we need a lot of push among the member countries. The other thing we did, we found out that unless we engage women in the nation building efforts across the globe, things may not go very, as desired level. So we against 2 special sessions, one on women empowerment and another on gender stereotypes. Because we found that many cases, many jobs, people, they're outside of the women only because of stereotyping. So we try to organize those events, and there also we have consensus resolutions. In this area, things are working, but we all have to work together. Another one we used is a special session, and that was in commemoration of the 25th anniversary of the Declaration of Human Rights. Right to development is a human right. When we talk about human rights, people talk about free speech and all those things. Forget about right to development, shelter, food, right to shelter, right to food. These are human rights. So we try to bring the consciousness of the world in this particular issue. It worked out very well. But I believe that, and also another thing we did in that case is about the education. Our main focus this year was on education programs. 10 countries, 10 country governments, the ministers came and they presented their, what they have done, their experience, how much they achieved. Like Bangladesh also presented its annual ministerial review on education. And story is good. In Bangladesh, we from a very low level, our primary education has gone up very well. We are the second highest in terms of enrollment in entire South Asia, except Sri Lanka. Sri Lanka is better than us, but in the rest of them. We did very good in the gender parity among the primary school, among the secondary school. Secondary school, our female enrollment is 53, male is only 40. So this did not happen just by luck. This is because of conscious targeted approach. So we shared our experience with others. And even so the focus is our education. Till today, 70 million students cannot go to school. One big problem was resource. You see, there was a commitment for 16 million for this, the educational program. Only 2 million came. I mean, 2 billion came. Each year, the global community is spending more than, the last year, they spent $112 trillion just for, the armaments and the defense. But 16 million they cannot come up with for the education. I give one example. Each year, USA alone, each week is spending more than $2.3 billion each week, $120 billion in 1 year in Afghanistan, only for 29 million people. But nobody wants to come with fund for eliminating, these educational problems. We need a global consciousness, a mindset to improve the situation.
So you're thinking that through the finances you are going to achieve that the Millennium Goal?
It is one of the most important tools. Finance is one tool because there is commitment from the member countries. They want to do it, but they need fund. Those countries who don't have the expertise, the capacity, okay, those could be built. But finance is a key element. Unfortunately, it is very shy, and we need help.
Thank you so much, Mr. Ambassador. And before we close, I would definitely like to invite Ambassador Francis Lorenzo from Dominican Republic to address you with a few questions and comments, as we know that you have been working together and also personal friends.
Thank you, Natasha, Your Excellency. Thank you for taking the time to be here. I would like to congratulate you for your election as the chairman of the second committee. I'm pretty sure that under your leadership, the committee will successfully end its work. But also, I would like to reassure you the support of the foundations in the success of the work that you're going to be doing on the second committee. In reference to your country, you and I were in Istanbul, and one of your questions, your response, the declaration that came out of Istanbul, LDC, your country has done a lot, and there is a lot of success story. But what are the challenges that, as an LDC country, you are facing, and what is needed for Bangladesh to come from LDC country to a middle income country? That's a question that perhaps maybe I would like to see if you can elaborate a little bit more.
You have a good question. You see, this is one is finance, another is capacity building, another is education, another is technology. And we discuss all those in our, this Istanbul conference. And good news is that the global community said that they will come up with their funding that they have committed by year 2015, by the end of the MDG goals period. If they really come, this would be helpful. The other one is, as I said, technology. The global community agreed that they will set up an institution. They will, in each country, they will have 2 schools. And they will also provide some funding for the rural areas, for teachers, for the rehabilitation, for the schools in their area. So these are good promises. Only thing we have to see those promises come through. Now, these LDCs, if the history of the growth of LDCs has been very dismal. In 1971, there were only 25 LDCs. And now we have 49 LDCs. And the total number is over around 990 million people are living in. Half of them are poor, live below the $1 level, poverty level. Only 3, over this last 40 years, only 3 graduated, and no one. That means the international financial mechanism and the way that we are helping the LDC, that is not
It's not working.
So we need a big push. And I believe big push, unless we have a big push, there is eagerness among the LDCs to do better, but they cannot do on their own. We all have to work together, and that is missing. This concept of working together is missing. There are a lot of talks, but in the area of financing, in the area of technology transfer, in the area of giving funding for education, these are missing. LDCs has to be conscious and must take more responsibility. Another one is capacity building, infrastructure. In most of the LDCs, they don't have much infrastructure. You may have enough food, enough crops, but you cannot market it because you have no infrastructure. Now the development partners, they agreed they will help us also in the area of infrastructure building. We told them, the developed partners, that they have unemployment in their own country. They have lack of investment in their country. If they want to increase the job creation in their own country, then they have to invest in the LDCs also. In that case, it will create jobs in their own land, and at the same time will create jobs in the LDCs or developing countries. It could be both. So this sort of mindset has to come. And this is missing, but in Istanbul we try to promote those mindsets. The good news is there was a consensus resolution that we all work together. Another thing I want to add to it, right now you see we have this economic financial debacle in the stock markets, and at times we are told that G20 talks about it. Nobody is talking about it. When things goes bad in the advanced countries, industrialized countries, poor countries like Bangladesh and even yours will be affected because we are exposed, our economy is exposed to it. There is not much leadership to handle those. Currently, another big thing is coming up. In many countries, GDP growth rate is good, but there is not enough job creation. And look, many countries in the Middle East and other places got into trouble. So we think in the second committee, we are thinking of organizing some event to come up with a new development model which will emphasize, job creation, which will emphasize technology, which will also emphasize, how security can be maintained. These are issues coming up, and we want everybody's ideas so that we can make ECOSOC and UN more, relevant to the general public. This is one goal I have, and we need your support in that. And the other thing I want to tell you that if we can, one reason we do not have global consciousness in our favor, because we lack publicity, we lack exposure. Your South-South News is doing a great job. Among these South-South groups, if we can share our expertise, things will improve at a cost-effective way. And of course, we need the help of the North. We all together, if we work, and in this area, your South-South News can do a lot of miracles. Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, thank you so much. Thank you, and we definitely congratulate you on your work. We wish you excellent work, and we will be honored to support you in any way we can as a foundation and an NGO that's affiliated to ECOSOC and the whole UN system.
We look forward to your support, because I found out in many areas, if we involve civic society, if we involve NGOs, then they continuously pursue the issue and it works out better.
Thank you so much. And thank you for coming here. We normally end our Global Roundtables by inviting our guests to the Dominican Republic. In this case, we won't do it because you're already here.
Okay.
So thank you so much for visiting to the Dominican Republic, for being with us here at the Foundation and getting to know our headquarters and the work we do in Santo Domingo and the rest of the country. So thank you once again, Mr. Ambassador, and I hope to see you very soon working together at the United Nations.
I look forward to work together.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you for watching Global Roundtable, organized by the Global Foundation for Democracy and Development and South-South News.